Welcome to the Thunder and Lightning Show. Today we have discussions about a Calamitous Conclave and a Great Western Schism. Is that even going to happen, Ryan?
Well, it could, John. If you read the tea leaves, there's some crazy things going on here, and one thing I said as I wanted to lead in here. We have what you would call a shifting alignment of traditionalism. Years ago, people had different opinions about various groups in the church: Fraternity of St. Peter, Institute of Christ the King, SsPX, various flavors of Sedevacantism, the Eastern Rites, and whatnot. But in the Francis Bergoglio pontificate, everything is getting rearranged. Where we thought, I don't know if I mentioned this on a show before, but I was of the opinion in 2005, 7 or 8, after the motu proprio came out, I thought that there was no need for the SsPX to exist anymore. And of course, that's been completely proven wrong thanks to the motu inappropriate of Bergoglio. And so I wanted to point out there's this quote that Jim Cramer often used to quote on Mad Money, and it's from John Maynard Keynes, who is quoted as saying, "When the facts change, I change my mind. What do you do, sir?" And so with that in mind, we're all doing a lot of realignment here in our thinking because the facts have changed. So we have to change our opinions. And that's going to kind of lead into some stuff that we're talking about today. The first topic, is the topic of the show, a Calamitous Conclave and a second Great Western Schism. So I thought about this. This is sort of like a nightmare scenario here. And I was thinking about how the holy sacrifice of the jab has become the most important thing. You can't get the jab. If you don't get the jab, you can't get into the seminary. You can't fly on a plane and all this stuff. And I was beginning to think, could this in any way impact the next conclave? And I think that there is a possibility. This is a nightmare possibility, but I wanted to entertain everybody with this nightmare. It's like a horror film. Consider a situation when Bergoglio dies or quits, and either he or Cardinal Farrell is going to be in charge of the conclave. Where is Farrell from anyway? Is he?
He's from Ireland, but at one point he was Bishop of Dallas, Texas.
Okay.
And then, through McCarrick's connections, he was promoted to Cardinal. And I'm not entirely sure. I can do a Wikipedia search real quick.
Is he in the Vatican?
He is in the Vatican right now.
Okay.
Actually, an interesting thing about Farrell was, I don't know if you remember that the bishop from West Virginia, Bishop Bransfield.
Yeah.
He was like using the diocesan money for everything, bribing priests. Well,
yeah.
I think Cardinal Farrell got like a $20,000 bathtub from Bishop Bransfield. So.
Okay. Well. So
yeah, he's
Cardinal Farrell. You can interject here when you get that information.
Yeah.
Cardinal Farrell is in charge of this conclave. Watch this. I could definitely see it happening that either Bergoglio or Farrell mandates that all cardinals in the next conclave have to get the jab in order to participate or to live in the Casa Santa Marta. And if they do that, then basically they're excluding all the pro-life traditionalist cardinals from this election. Now, what is that going to mean? You're going to have a block of cardinals, the Catholic ones, who are going to refuse to participate. Now, they have a couple choices, mainly two. They can either sit around and do a Cardinal Zen and complain and say, like, "Oh, this is so unfair. Oh, the Pope, they just don't understand us." They might do that. Or when a pope is elected, they're going to say, like, "Oh, he's not real." I mean, that's the second possibility. They're going to say he's not a real pope. Not canonically elected because we, the jab not cardinals, were excluded from this election. So then they could cry also and say, like, oh, well, this should be reconsidered. Please do something about this. Or the good cardinals might get together, get a spine, and elect their own real pope, a jab-not pope, and their own jab-not conclave. And but I don't see any way out of this situation where you're going to get a virus pope out of this situation. I don't see any way, because as virusy as the Vatican is, as Europe is, as some of these cardinals are, I just see it coming that you're going to get a virus pope out of this next virus conclave. And apart from some kind of divine intervention, I don't see how it's going to not turn out that way. There's a possibility. Go ahead.
Well, you talk about the good cardinals, and I was thinking,
Yeah.
like, okay, I can probably name 5 that are like eligible to vote.
Yeah, you
Because
mentioned that this weekend. Go through those.
Yeah, like Skola's gone.
Mhm.
He can't vote. He's not out. He's 80, so he can't vote. And so, like, I was like, okay, well, maybe some of the Africans. I mean, most of them are kind of like modernists.
Yeah, some
And
of
you
them.
have like Sarah's eligible, Burke.
Burke is
Who
a jab.
else?
Burke is a jab knot. Sarah's probably a jab knot. What?
I mean, there's a cardinal. There's some random cardinal who's from the United States, but he was like a nuncio or something. I don't know, but if he's any good or not. He's like 72. I have no idea. Like, can you think of other names who are eligible to vote?
I think Puyats might be eligible from Latvia.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Cardinal Mueller from Germany.
Mueller's probably a jab knot and a Catholic.
I think there was a German Cardinal Wolecki.
Maybe
he seemed like he had some good stuff to say.
He was if you watch RTF, Restore the Faith, on that show, there's that crazy video with that shrieking woman, and she's at a mass, and Cardinal Wolke is the celebrant at that mass. So he's basically presiding over balloon clown masses. So
really?
I'm not sure how good he actually is, to be honest.
I thought I saw him make some good statements, but you might be right.
About the jab or about Catholicism?
About the Catholic faith.
Okay.
But, I don't know. I mean, so the commenter Ty Anthony said it's a small list. Absolutely,
it is.
But like, we can't even think of 10.
No.
There's 120 voting eligible cardinals.
Well, maybe there's some in Africa that we don't know about, but it seems like they've all gotten the jab, and they're into this jab theology.
And they're promoting the eco gospel, and like some of them. And I'm thinking, man, like, you have tremendous poverty. Like, you had Lefebvre come through here, and now you're like, you're being promoted by Pope Francis. And my thought is, with those guys, who knows what's going to happen once Pope Francis dies or resigns? Like, maybe they'll return to the Catholic faith. Maybe they're just kind of going along with the party line. But like, we don't know. And in terms of the airplanes, I think that any cardinal could find a flight.
I would hope so.
Most of them don't travel commercially.
Oh, really? I don't know.
I would imagine. I mean, if you look at like Cardinal Supich, do you think he's gonna find some money?
I don't know. My friend said he was in an airport walking around, and he saw Bishop Strickland, and he went over to him and said, like, "Hey, give me a blessing."
Well, I think Bishop Strickland's a little different.
Yeah, he's a lot lower. He's a lot lower in the totem pole than Supich.
Well, and I don't think he'd mind flying commercially, as opposed to a lot of these cardinals. They could just call up some of McCarrick's friends and say, "Hey, can you fly me to the conclave?" Absolutely. Yeah. The problem will be entry into the country. Will they be denied a passport if they're not jabbed?
Well, see, that's another problem, is that if you're unjabbed, there is a secular forced quarantine that could stop you from getting into the conclave in time to vote. Because according to the norms of the conclave, you have 14 days after the Pope quits or dies. I think there's 14 days for you to get to Rome and get into the conclave. Well, what if there's a 14-day quarantine period and you can't get in there in time? So again, this whole thing is set up. This whole thing is set up to be a crooked election. I'm just pointing it out.
Now, also interesting to note, Cardinal Burke, he's been recovering from the virus, thank God. But he is in Rome apparently. Like he was in, yeah, I saw it, like he was in the United States, but then he had made his way back to Rome like right after he got out of the hospital or something. At least that's the information I saw.
Well, I thought that he was sick in America and in an American hospital in Wisconsin. Yeah. Okay. And I heard he's not even out of the hospital yet. He was transferred from the ICU to general population or whatever.
Oh, well, then maybe I got the wrong information. But
yeah, I don't think, actually, I don't know if he's ever going to be able to go to Rome again because of the whole jab restrictions, and the Vatican requires you to get the jab to even walk in there. I mean, it's just a mess.
Always contact the shrine. I'm sure they won't have any, the Guadalupe shrine.
Yeah.
I'm sure they won't have any information on that.
Well, so anyway, this thing could be entirely crooked. It's setting itself up for that. And if that happens, you know, the mainstream church is just getting more and more wacky by the minute with the jab crow segregation. And so, again, don't be surprised if we see Great Western Schism based around the jab. And you'll have a small number of good cardinals who will elect a true Catholic pope. And then you'll have a bunch of Pachamama cardinals who will elect a virus pope.
Yeah, well, and what's going to be interesting, I mean, that's a scary thought to think about. But especially in like the United States, who's going to stick with what? You know, like.
Well, most of the bishops will go with the Francis, the mainstream, the virus pope. But who cares about that? Because we've already seen through all the virus shutdowns, the true Catholics found their way to the true Mass with true priests. And I think that if you had a second Great Western virus schism, I think very, very quickly, thanks to the internet, you'd have a ton of people who would change allegiances. They would leave their diocese and their local parish, and then they would go, even if it's in a barn or the Holiday Inn or whatever, they would pledge allegiance to the Catholic Pope.
Yeah, and how many lay people are going to attend the virus church?
Well, they are now. Well, actually, the virus church would have everybody wearing the muzzle. They would require the jab passport to get in. And again, plus it'd all be on Zoom or online or whatever, because they're going to do another lockdown really soon here.
Yeah, well, and the Zoom thing, like, I mean, you know, I don't know what your experience was, but whenever I was like live streaming masses, the first few weeks, I was like, oh, this is kind of cool because, you know, I haven't really been involved with the FSSP or the Institute very much. But then after a few weeks, I was like, okay, this just isn't cutting it. And you get kind of a burnout, and you're like, all right, I'm just going to pray my own mass because I don't really care about their live, all that stuff. But how do you not have like a fatigue for that? You know?
Well, you do, and I can tell you that I watched maybe the first week I watched a mass, and then the second week I was kind of like, you know, it's great to get through the readings and the sermon, but the Mass of the Faithful, if you're not actually there, is completely boring. So I think there was one time when I just turned it off for the Mass of the Faithful and just prayed the Missal quietly. But I only missed 2 weeks of Mass. I missed Passion Sunday and Palm Sunday. And then the rest of the time I was able to attend underground secret ceremonies of the rites of Romanism. I was able to attend those masses the whole time through after that. So thanks be to God, I didn't have that problem.
Yeah. Well, and we're going to be more prepared this time around.
Well, yeah,
I mean, people are in that same boat.
A lot of people I know are building chapels in their house. They're preparing for this thing, and you know, everybody kind of knows what to do when there's another shutdown. They know where to go undergrounds. They know what Byzantines are going to be open. They know what Trinity chapels are going to be open. As a matter of fact, you're pretty sure SsPX is going to be open in most places.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
All the Sadie chapels, they'll be open. The Indy chapels, Independence, they'll all be open. So, again, every time the virus authorities and the Novus Ordo sect do these shutdowns, they're just going to lose more and more people to traditionalist chapels. And they'll lose more and more people to just sitting at home and sleeping in and watching football.
Yeah, and if you're shutting down in time for football season, oh boy, you're gonna lose some people.
If football is still going on, I mean, it could be canceled too.
They wouldn't dare cancel the NFL. They might ban fans, but
yeah,
I have more faith in the NFL than I do in the bishops.
It's sad. You know why? Because there's the bishops made more money from the PPP program than they did from actually leaving the churches open.
Yeah, the NFL stands to gain a substantial profit if they're one of the few things you can actually do is watch.
Maybe they would lobby for a lockdown of the mass, so that therefore more and more people would watch NFL.
So you can have more people joining the NFL cult.
Yeah, they lost a lot of fans with all there was the BLM, there was the kneeling, there's the rainbow agenda, there's the no fans thing. So
did you hear the NBA has some sort of jab requirement?
Oh, do they?
It's I don't know if unjabbed players are going to be like banned from certain cities.
What?
They don't have like New York, and I didn't read the whole thing, but I was like, oh, that's horrific.
This is crazy because, as you know, the NBA, most of the players are black, and if you look at the statistics, blacks are by far the most unjabbed demographic out there. So how are you going to play games if you don't have if you're not allowing jabs? Plus, again, it's an unfair situation if you're going to have jab crow segregation in the NBA. It's just, let jabs out, leave jabs out of sports. Let politics be out of sports, and let jabs be out of sports. Well, and religion too. Jabs have nothing to do with religion. They're against our religion.
Yeah, it says that, let's see, the requirements will be enforced unless there is an approved medical or religious exemption. Let's see, they won't be allowed to enter premises inside the city of the home of the Knicks, and I don't know if that affects the Golden State because they're in San Francisco.
What about LA? The Clippers and the Lakers.
It doesn't say LA yet, but
maybe that's
they
a
have
local
a LeBron
ordinance
exemption.
Well, anyway, they could get you can easily get a religious exemption or a medical exemption. So I think that's going to be what a lot of people are going to do. Depends on what
the Catholics.
No, you would not from the Catholics, but that's something in here we might mention about is that CMRI priest that testified before the Ohio State legislature.
Yes, and the Pillar actually ran this story.
Yeah, I sent that link to you. That's where I found it. Somebody mentioned it on some comm box somewhere, and then they said, "Hey, check this out." And I finally found that. It was hilarious. Anyway, we'll get to that later. Let's move on and talk about. We had mentioned on a show some time ago about the bishops consecrated in the old rite.
Yes.
And I incorrectly said that there was only like 2 or 3 of these guys left. I had mentioned Refon, the SsPX guys. Well, we found out Grisita because he admitted it. And we were talking about this on Sunday. Why did Grisita just all of a sudden pop that out there and say like, oh, by the way, I'm doubtful that Francis is actually Pope, and I had an old rite consecration. Wink, wink. Is he like shooting off flares for independence and instead of a contest to come like knock on his door and say, consecrate me a bishop, or consecrate me a bishop, ordain me a priest. But I actually have here a list. I found this on Catholic Hierarchy. I'm going to share my screen here. Okay. Can you see that?
No. Can you post the link in the chat maybe, and then I can open it up and share my screen here?
Yeah.
Let me see. Nah, that doesn't do it. Nope.
Okay, I sent it to you there. I don't know. It says everyone can. It says it's sharing my screen, but
no, I don't see it. Oh, there it is. Sorry. I'll add this to the stream. There we go.
There it is.
So I'm sharing your screen.
Yes.
Okay.
So let's go through here. These are all the guys. So the new rite of episcopal ordination came out in, I have it right here, came out June 18th, 1968. So I don't know when this was promulgated. But let's just look at all these guys that were consecrated before June of 1968. The funny thing is there's a ton of guys here who are from South America and Hispanic America. This is unbelievable. I don't know why these people live forever, but this guy here, Bishop Eloy Tato Lasada from Managua, Colombia, he's been a bishop for 61 years. I don't know how old this guy is. You could look it up for yourself, but he was consecrated a bishop July 1960. So here's a guy from Mexico, BC, British Columbia, Canada, Trois-Rivières, Quebec.
Wow. Well, he's 90. This guy is 97 years old. He was ordained. Okay. Let's see here. Ordained a priest in 1946. So he would have been 22 years old when he was ordained a priest. Then he was ordained bishop at 36.
Wow, so, that's really young.
That's pretty cool.
Here's Arinze, consecrated in 1965. He's been a bishop for 56 years. He just celebrated his anniversary 2 days ago.
Yeah, he was the youngest.
He was the youngest bishop at Vatican II. You should send him a card and say, "Hey, Cardinal Arinze, if you're doubting the direction of the church, you can consecrate me a bishop."
Or better yet, consecrate one of these Latin Mass order priests. There's several of them.
Yeah, several of them bishops.
Let's do another SsPX thing.
Yeah, here's Bishop Boland, and I had mentioned him before when we did that show. Bishop Emeritus of Multan, Pakistan. He was consecrated in 1966. Who else is here that's interesting? Here is an English-speaking guy, Archbishop Francis Patrick Carroll of Canberra, Goulburn, Australia. Another one, Clark from Kingston, Jamaica. And here's Gumbleton. He's an arch heretic, homosexualist. Gumbleton, I don't think you'd want him to touch you. Detroit, Michigan. And then we get into this stuff here. Now, these are all questions because, as we know, we don't know what rite was used with these guys. Yeah. Because you get up here to Grisida. I'm going to find him. I think he was 71 or 72. You see, there's a lot more guys here in 71. Yeah. So here he is. January 25th, 1972. Rene Henry Grisida, Corpus Christi, Texas. He said, "Old rite." So, yeah, he might be the last one. You'd have to go and examine all these guys previously to see what rite was used for their episcopal consecration. But anyway, so there's a ton. And, I used to think that this stuff nobody really cared about it. But it is more and more interesting, and I'm not going to say it's an entirely academic exercise, because when I was looking up this information, I found this SsPX website here, and must priests who come to tradition be reordained? Essentially, read this thing, and this is the official SsPX position. Effectively, the answer is everything in the Novus Ordo is questionable. The priestly ordination and episcopal consecration. I noticed in here, and Number 6, there can be reason to doubt the intention of the ordaining bishop in the conciliar church. That was point 6. Point 7, the question of episcopal consecration in the 68 rite promulgated by Paul VI is even more delicate. Archbishop Lefebvre recognized doubts as far as these things, and so he would often, almost always, reordain priests who came to him. So anyway, this is just it's not only the sedevacantist here who are questioning the new rites of ordination for priest and bishop. We're talking about SsPX here as well. So I had heard that I watched a talk with Father Cicada, and it was pointed out on that video that apparently Bishop Tissier is very, very uneasy with the new rite of episcopal consecration. And so when Bishop Lazo of the Philippines collaborated with SsPX, Bishop Tissier would not allow him to do any ordinations or confirmations. And that's why you see these guys, they don't let these cooperating bishops do things, because I think a lot of people, a lot of SsPX faithful don't trust the new rites of ordination.
Okay. Yeah, that's an interesting point. I know the SsPX, they have their Crisis in the Church podcast series. I haven't listened to that yet. As a side note, I want to point out Pope Francis. Oh, let me remove this here. So Pope Francis, whenever he had his interview today, and some interview that came out, he basically dismissed the idea of the ordinary and extraordinary form, which Benedict, really promoted. And a lot of the people, and we've said it several times on this channel, that it's false. Like, it's not logical, and a lot of the, I guess the obedience people, they refer to it as like the extraordinary form or whatever. Now the only people that are going to refer to it is the people who still think Benedict is Pope, and maybe even they won't, because but anyway, Francis more or less dismissed that. So he basically more or less suggested that there are two rites.
Yes.
The Latin, there's the Novus Ordo rite and the old rite. So with rites, you need biritual faculties, which is basically what is the case now, is that these priests need a biritual faculty to say the Latin Mass. So who are the traditionalist bishops? Who are the bishops of the old rite? And I think are there only 4 of them? The SsPX? I mean, so that was something that came through my head, was like, okay, so who are the old rite bishops?
Who are going to help traditionalists, or what? What's your question?
Well, no, like who are the official bishops of the old rite? Like, because if the new rite is its own rite, all these bishops were consecrated in the new rite. So they're the new rite bishops. So who are the old rite bishops?
Well, it would be the SsPX guys, Refon. That's basically it, because Schneider you can't even count him because he was consecrated in the new rite.
Yeah.
So it's just the SsPX guys, and the SSPV instead of a contest, depending on whether you accept two bishops or that kind of thing. I don't know. You're ending in it basically. Yeah, is it just SsPXs? I don't know. But if you're starting to think about these things and worry about them, then man, it looks like the SsPX and the Sedevacantist might be the only way to go here.
Yeah, well, I'm not one to like worry about this stuff, because like you always, I think it's you that always says, hey, if one of the SsPX bishops dies, then we're gonna have more bishop consecrations. They'll probably get another excommunication, and then if we get a Catholic pope, they'll want to excommunicate him again. And, Lefebvre Part 2.
Yeah.
So, but still, I mean, it's interesting. It's like, is Vigano going to turn SsPX and all this stuff? Who knows? But Vigano wasn't even consecrated bishop in the old rite, so
no, he wasn't.
But I mean, theoretically, can you cross rites? So, like, could a Byzantine bishop consecrate bishops for the Roman rite? Like,
yes, he could, and that's another out, is that with probably with the Pope's permit. Well, I don't even know if you in an emergency situation you wouldn't need any permission, but yeah, a Byzantine bishop can consecrate bishops for the Roman rite. Okay. And he can ordain priests for the Roman rite in an emergency situation.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Well, maybe we do need to dialogue with the East. And here's an interesting, a very common comment. Still waiting for that FSSP Bishop.
Yeah, I remember I was watching I think it was a Mother Angelica or an interview with an FSSP priest, and they talked about when they started, there was the discussion of giving them a bishop, and this particular priest was saying like, oh, well, we really don't, it was promised us, they'd think about it, but, we really don't need one because we have all these diocesan guys who are just ordaining for us, and so it doesn't really matter. Well, I think the fraternity is thinking that if Bergoglio smacks them really bad, that they would have some diocesan bishops who would join forces with them. And again, I'm wondering if that will happen. I suspected that Schneider would join forces, Burke, Mueller, Sarah maybe. That, I didn't get a chance to send this to you. Somebody posted it on, it was in the Father Z com box today, that Burke wrote on his website that Bergoglio does not have the power and the authority to suppress the old rite of Mass.
Whoa,
yeah,
nice.
that's big. That's a strong words by Burke.
We kind of expected that, but now it's actually like coming to reality.
Yeah.
So let's see when Cardinal Burke gets all of his strength back. I'm going to be interested to hear what happens. Maybe he'll change his mind on Lefebvre and the SsPX.
I hope so.
Or maybe he'll just go and consecrate bishops himself, or who cares? Like,
well, again, you're not going to get any acceptance from SsPX unless you're consecrated in the old rite.
Well, yeah, but that's pretty interesting. So.
By the way, did you see our friend Patty from Ireland just popped in the chat? And I wanted to ask him, Patty, John and I had talked about this via email earlier today, and what brought it up? Didn't the Archbishop of Dublin say, what did he do?
So much crazy stuff. Let me double check here. Man, we got a lot of conversations. Here we go. Dublin Archbishop urges Catholics to tackle climate catastrophe in 64-page pastoral
That's
letter.
what it was. Yeah.
Now, first, my reaction to this was the first thing I thought, because this is typical Francis Church, with 64 pages, I said, okay,
it's unbelievable.
None of his priests are going to read it. None of his diocesan employees are going to read it. So he basically just wrote this to himself.
Or to Francis. It was written to Bergoglio to massage his ego. No, Francis, but it'll be noticed by one of his handlers, and they'll say, "Holy, super duper holiest father ever. Did you know that the Archbishop of Dublin wrote a 64-page pastoral letter about climate change? He should be made, if he's not already a cardinal, he should be made one of the C9.
Maybe.
Well, anyway, my question was, how often does this bishop release letters about abortion, divorce, LMNOP? Because those are the things that lead people to hell. And then this is what I want to know from all our Irish viewers, is that how many people actually attend Mass in these Irish dioceses? Because I know there's like a zillion dioceses in Ireland. They're all really, really tiny. The country used to be like 98% Catholic, but now it's down to who knows what, less than 50%. So how many people attend Mass? And then number two, how do these dioceses get money? Because is it like Germany where they get government money? Does the government take care of the buildings like France does? Do they depend on donations, collection money? Because if nobody goes to Mass, their collection money has to be near zero. Can somebody who's Irish or knows about the situation explain this to us? Because in America, plus, aren't these dioceses getting sued for molestation claims just like they are in America? So I don't understand how they can afford to pay bills and whatnot.
I thought there was some collaboration with the government, in Ireland. I'm not entirely sure.
Well,
But,
there is, but I don't know if they get government money.
I don't know. I mean, that'd be my only explanation for how they're able to keep, financially stable. This is Archbishop Dermot Farrell, another Farrell.
Another Farrell.
Yeah, of Dublin, but it's pretty funny. Yeah, and I don't really have much of a perspective outside of the United States. Like, you can look at the USCCB's financial statements and see where they're getting their money. And here's the response from Patty. Thank you very much, Patty. They limit numbers. It varies. They make it up from place to place.
Is that the number of mass attendees?
Number of mass attendees.
Yeah.
So I guess it'd probably be larger in population centers, but maybe in the rural areas though, because I know
probably higher. That Irish priest who was on the John Henry Weston show said that in the cities nobody goes to mass whatsoever. It's all people who live in the sticks.
Okay.
Probably old people too.
I think there was the one priest who had mass in a rural setting in Ireland where there was the shutdowns, and so all churches were ordered to be locked down, and he got in trouble with the government or something.
Yeah, I remember seeing that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, I mean, I wish there would be a lot more priests like that because, yeah. Now looks like we just got a
super chat.
Super chat from Mary Ann. Well,
hey, thank you for the super duper chat. That's a super duper chat. If you get over, if you give over like 20, if you equal 20 or more dollars, then that's a super duper chat.
Yeah, really.
I don't have any song or dance that I could do.
Well, you did have the song last time, and Patty. Patty actually had a really good comment on that.
If he gives me what's that comment, I will sing that for him. Thanks to this super chat.
All right, I'll have to bring it up. It was really clever. I'm gonna look through my archives.
Wasn't it "I'm Dreaming of a Schism" or something? I have it written down here actually.
Yeah. Here we go. Have yourselves a merry little schism.
That's what it is. Yeah, let me sing that.
Flow.
Have yourself a merry little schism. Let the blasphemies flow. From now on, Catholicism's far away. Don't know the rest of the words here. Apostate friends who are near to us, sitting near to us once more. That's just off the cuff there. So thanks for that suggestion. I actually know somebody who is going to write some parody songs for us. And
really?
Yeah, this person said that they would write the second verse of Have Yourselves a Merry Little... No, the third and fourth verse of Have Yourselves a Merry Little Schism. Oh, and there might be a couple others there.
There we go. We have show writers, and thanks to people like Mary Ann, we can pay our show writers a little bit more, so we'll have increasingly interesting content for you.
Yeah, by the way, there was a comment. Did you see Captain Catholic at 7:34? He asked a question about is that tab that Ryan is drinking, and well, I mean, Parent Ryan, he came over and visited, and this is like the only tab left in the world. So he left it behind, and so I had to drink some of it.
Well, Parent Ryan's a pretty big hit on Twitter. He's gotten blocked by some of the Twitter priests, but
is he blocked by James Martin?
I'm not sure.
Is he blocked by Parent Reese? Is he blocked by Matthew Schneider or whatever his name is?
Well, no, I don't know that he's blocked by any of those ones. I'm not sure, but yeah, Parent Ryan has like 500 followers.
Yeah, I know. I showed that to some people and they were shocked and they were just laughing at how ridiculous everything was on the Parent Ryan Twitter account.
Well, I mean, it's because Parent Ryan preaches. Parent Ryan does not hide the fact that he is a virus priest.
Yeah.
And then he supports LMNOP. I mean, a lot of Jesuits are kind of like sneaky about it, but Parent Ryan is not. And,
Parent Ryan is bold. He is out of the closet and he's loud and proud.
Here's a great comment. You have a Patreon account.
Well, we used to joke about that. What was it? We had all kind of merchandise that we were going to release, but we never got around to doing it. There was going to be a cruise. We were going to do like a Michael Voris type church militant cruise.
Wait, give me a quick second. Go ahead and keep talking.
Sure, you can mute yourself and I'll talk. So we were going to do like this Michael Voris cruise, and we were going to go to the Caribbean or whatever. Parent Ryan was invited, and he was going to be part chaplain, but of course you couldn't go to any of his masses because they're invalid. It's like Anglican orders. And you got your shirt on.
Yeah, I just needed to get my cruise shirt on.
Yeah, so it's Hawaiian shirts you have to wear on this cruise. I think that's one of the levels on Patreon is maybe you get this. Maybe you get the Hawaiian shirt. But we were going to stop in these various places. Of course, Parent Ryan knows where all the best parts of the Caribbean is, but he can go and do his thing. But we couldn't afford a real priest. And so we were going to have a kid. There's a kid that we know that that knows how to celebrate the old Mass. He's 9. Yeah, he's 9 years old, and he can celebrate the old Mass better than most like real priests. Although, well, certainly a Novus Ordo priest, and he can sing really well. So we were going to bring him along. We were going to have pretend Mass every day on the John the Son of Thunder cruise. And anyway, look, so Adrian gave us a $30 super chat.
Yeah,
John,
this is. All right, things are getting nuts now.
John, you're rich.
Yeah, really. I appreciate the super chats, guys. Here's the thing with super chats. I get 70% of it. YouTube gets 30%. So anyway, I really appreciate it.
Somebody's got to pay for all this, this technology and broadcasting and whatnot.
And deleting my Father Altman video.
Yeah, it's a small price to pay. Small price to pay. Patty McMullen says he hasn't seen Tab since the 70s. Yeah, it's hard to get. How many oars do you have for the boat, Ryan?
Well, I mean,
with all this super chat money, we'll be able to afford a luxury yacht.
Yeah, exactly.
If you want to get Parent Ryan on a boat, it's got to be a luxury yacht.
Yeah, we'll have a
small cruise ship.
It's gonna be, and it's gonna be for the low price of $10,000. You can get on this cruise, and we won't have any restrictions. Like you won't have to wear any of these things or sanitize your hands or anything.
Or jabs.
But
did you see Ty Anthony? It says 743.
Yeah, I'm not even going to show that.
Don't even show that. Don't show that, but it's hilarious. Yeah, well, that was the joke is about the Voris cruise. The Appletinis will flow on the Parent Ryan cruise.
I think the joke with the cruise is that doesn't Church Militant call it like a retreat at sea or something like that?
Yes, yeah.
They call it a retreat. And so you're going to be on this luxury retreat. You'll have all you can drink. You're going to be eating lobster meals, and you'll get to meet all your famous celebrities and everything. Is there a chapel? I'm guessing
on the Church Militant. I believe they take a priest, but again, because we're the cheap imitation, we're going to have a child priest who's going to celebrate a pretend Mass.
Yeah, it's a pretend Mass, so you know that it's not going to be valid.
But it'll be nice. I mean, John and I and whoever else from the Scola will show up, and we'll have pretend high Mass every day, and so it'll at least sound good. Yeah, and you get everything you would get with the Church Militant cruise, except you get to meet us instead, and it's probably going to cost a lot more than Church Militant's cruise, but it'll be worth it. Yeah, and you'll get to meet Parent Ryan and Parent Juan. And Parent Ryan's clown. Oh, he'll be there too. Okay. Yeah. From the clown masses. Yeah. maybe you'll even get a surprise clown mass. You'll have the opportunity to join the rite of the clowns. Yeah. Their liturgical celebration. It'll be pontifical masses too, because remember, Parent Ryan was consecrated a grandparent. That's right. Instead of a Contus priest, bishopus, who was in the Society of St. Paul I, etc., etc. I was liking this. You have to catch the lobster first. Yes, you would catch your own lobster and eat it on the cruise. I'm not sure where we'd be going either. Would it be
This is pretty terrible. Would we be going to McCarrick Island?
Yeah, we would have a stop.
Caribbean.
Stop at McCarrick Island. Stop at Epstein Island. Yeah. Well, I mean, look, if Parent Ryan is on this cruise again, he's going to end up planning the whole thing. Captain Catholic said, "Will you be leading a jazzercise class?" Well, I won't be, but maybe Parent Ryan will.
Parent Ryan will be leading morning yoga. And then he'll also probably be leading the Buddhist meditation.
Oh boy, yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah. Let's talk about point 3 in my email that I sent you, which was about, you hear all these people who are talking about sola obedientia all the time. That's the only dogma in the Vatican II Church is eco-theology and Bergoglianism, which is sola obedientia. And my question to the normies out there, to the neo-Catholic, Novus Ordo Catholics, or whatever you want to call them, is, does anybody care about bishops who disobey canon law? Because I think that's a big problem. Part of the rite of consecration of a bishop in the new and the old is the vow to be faithful to the law of the Catholic Church and the tradition. But people get on the internet, they're all preachy about the laity and priests, and they need to obey canon law. But why is it that nobody says anything when bishops break every law in the books? And namely, I want to talk about, let's talk about Canon 270. You can look this up in the Code of Canon Law. Canon 270. This has to do with trading priests. And we had discussed this for some point in time. There was a Father Z article about it a month or two ago having to do with Father James Altman. And but Canon 270 talks about how to trade a priest. Quote, I'm quoting here, excardination, that's when you leave a diocese, can be licitly granted only for just causes, such as the advantage of the church or the good of the cleric himself. It cannot be denied, however, except for evident grave causes. A cleric who thinks he has been wronged and has found an accepting bishop, however, is permitted to make recourse against the decision. Well, I mean, there basically is no recourse anymore because Rome is in eclipse. But you can see that Canon 270 says that you could get transferred from a diocese and go to another place if it is for the good of the priest himself. And it cannot be denied except for evident grave causes. Okay? So basically the default situation for a priest wanting to transfer is accept. The only time it can be denied is if the priest, if you're whatever these grave causes are, that's, I guess, up to the bishop to decide that matter.
So could the bishop deny that grave cause for like a priest shortage? Because then
I think that's one that they do is they cheat that way, and they say like, well, we have no priests,
which is true.
The simple answer to that is, well, you're going to have one less if you don't give me this transfer, because either way I'm leaving, whether it's with the signed paper or without. You're not going to have me anymore, buddy.
Yeah, either quit and go independent, or
or just say I'm going to be like a Father Michael Rodriguez and only say the old mass privately. Deal with it.
Yeah, why don't more priests think of that?
I don't know why. I have to talk to some priests about this. I mean, the ones that I talk to are still hanging on for dear life. They have their Latin mass still. And then I know a retired priest who privately says the old mass every day. And but it's something that priests should consider. Look, listen, if you were a priest watching this show and you've lost your Latin masses, then you need to strongly pray about this and discern with your spiritual director and say to your bishop, I'm going to take a leave of absence to discern my vocation elsewhere. And I'm going to, in that meanwhile, I'm only going to celebrate the old mass in private. Okay? Think about that.
And a lot of dioceses, like, yeah, you request a sabbatical and they'll still pay you.
Yeah, you still get paid.
Like they're paying these priests that are under investigations, like
Monsignor Grinder.
And well, even Father Altman's getting a paycheck from the diocese.
Yeah,
and he's getting $600 some thousand for his legal
from his Patreon or whatever else.
Yeah.
Father Michael Rodriguez, I think, did you hear? I listened to him recently, and he said, I think he's only getting like $400 a month for his stipend.
Wow.
Yeah, that's like nothing. I think he gets a health care, but that's enough to buy food. I think he gets a house that's for free, so he can make like he can make a car payment, maybe pay for the internet, put gas in his car, and eat food. That's all the money that he has for $400 a month.
So does anyone, like, does he have a Patreon or anything set
I
up?
honestly don't know.
I'd hope he'd have another source of income, because there's no way you can support yourself on that.
Well, he's got to get, I don't know, he's got to set up a Patreon or set up a YouTube. Ladies and gentlemen, YouTube is where you make the huge bucks.
Oh, yeah.
John can tell you all about it.
Actually, I've made more money today than I've made in like a few months, maybe. Thanks, guy. I appreciate it. But yeah, I mean.
Yeah. By the way, here, Wayne G at 744 wants to know: do you have a PayPal account so you can?
I mean, I do, but I don't want to share it.
Yeah, we don't want to collect any money. We're like anti-Bergolians here. We're not interested in the money.
Yeah, I mean, you can. I guess the only way for you to donate money to me is super chat, and I don't even care. Like not that I don't care.
But I mean, you should. If people are giving you money, you should upgrade your webcam or whatever.
Yeah, I guess I could. I mean, I could spend it on stuff. Like I guess now that they're donating money,
you could get a green screen. Although you do have some nice statues behind you.
Yeah, I was thinking about that, but I don't know how it would fit. And I do most of my videos live, so
yeah.
Like, so there's a lot of equipment. Like, we can just set up a YouTube channel pretty easily and just run it with the equipment that we have. And
yeah,
like I will upgrade now that I'm seeing some of this money come in. But the thing is, like, I don't really want money for this channel. Like, I'll take the ad revenue. I'll take what I can get. But it's like, I'm not gonna be like one of those. What do you call it? The grifters. That's what people call them. I'm not going to be like that. I was saying, we need your money.
I know you just do shows and you scare everybody and get them all worked up and say, "Oh, please donate money.
Yeah,
my cats can't. Your Latin mass will die unless you pledge $100 a month. Your Latin mass depends on this. How can I feed my cats? They can't live on fancy feast dry alone."
Well, and we have all of these priests like Father Michael Rodriguez, and but you need to donate to this channel.
Oh yeah,
we need it. And
there's an earthquake in Haiti, and you have to give me some money, so that I can live my Parent Ryan lifestyle with my Tesla and Apple Teenies and whatnot.
Well, and I know that like there are people that spend a lot of time working on their Catholic stuff, but at the same and they have full-time
jobs. It's their job, and so that's totally legit.
Some of them it's their job, but then they're soliciting donations. I'm like, I don't really care, because like if you weren't on YouTube, then someone else would be, and that's why I'm just like, okay, let the priests do their thing. Let the priests teach theology, and there are good priests out there, and you can find them at your traditionalist parishes. And like for me, I just like I have my regular job and I make money from that, and I'm never going to get to the point. I don't want to say never, but I don't think I'm going to get to the point where I could make money off of YouTube. And so I don't really want a Patreon, because then it's just giving me money, and then what am I going to buy with it? An expensive camera. And there's a guy who was talking about this on Twitter, how even like the SsPX Crisis in the Church series, they always ask for money, and he said, like, what do you need? Because you have all the equipment. I don't know, but
yeah, well, I don't know. I was going to say the SsPX YouTube series is basically a little step above us. I mean, they're not great technologically. I'll tell you who has a really good media presence is True Restoration Media, like Bishop Sanborn. That stuff is way beyond like normal production level. It is absolutely fantastic. And I think that he's spending quite a bit of money, which gets him a lot of credibility and whatnot for the presentation that he gives with his videos. Compare that to like, another rival group would be CMRIs or SSPV, and they're at our level, basically with their video content. They don't have production, professional grade stuff like Bishop Sanborn does. Hey, did you see the 749 from Patty?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. so that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna take Parent Ryan, Tomato Soupich, Bad Tobin, Whirl the Girl, and the Queen of the Nile, Wilton Gregory. They're all going to go out on this rinky-dink boat, and we're gonna maybe it'll get torpedoed by the U.S. Navy or something out there. They'll go for a swim. Parent Ryan will say, "Hey guys, would you like to go skinny dipping in the waters?" And it'll be shark infested waters, and that'll be the end of the super duper modernists.
Well, and maybe we could just drop them off. We could just drop them off at McCarrick Island.
Yeah, leave them there stranded.
Yeah, and they could have their utopia. You know.
Yeah. Ty Anthony 754. Where do we donate to the SsPBI, the Society of St. Paul VI? That's a good question. I'll have to ask Parent Ryan about that. But I don't recommend it. It's probably a mortal sin to give money to the SsPBI.
Well, you could probably donate to your local Democrat Party headquarters. And
they're the same thing. Or Planned Parenthood. What's the difference between SsPBI?
And Captain Catholic gives us some props here. I like the low budget look. There we go.
I'll tell you, we're not that low budget. I mean, I think this quality is pretty good, to be honest.
Yeah, well, I've been trying to get a little better quality, and even it's really just testing things out. And to me, like, if I would upgrade and buy like the medium quality like microphone or webcams, it wouldn't even be. It wouldn't really be much of an upgrade. It's just really testing out and see what works for your lighting and everything. So
yeah.
Now, do you have any? Do you have?
A couple more Canon things here. Let's finish these canons.
Right,
back to canon law. Canon 249. This one's really interesting. Throw this in a modernist face. Quote, the program of priestly formation is to provide that students not only are carefully taught their native language, but also understand Latin well and have a suitable understanding of those foreign languages, etc., etc., etc. Wait a minute. Let me repeat that in case you weren't listening. Students not only are carefully taught their native language, but also understand Latin well.
So this
that's in the new. That's in the new Code of Canon Law, and it applies to all seminarians that they are carefully taught their native language, although who doesn't actually know their own native language?
Well, it could be for like third world countries.
Well,
I don't know.
But everybody knows how to speak their native tongue. I mean, you might not be the greatest writer or orator or whatever, but also understand Latin well.
Yeah.
Bishops?
For all seminarians?
Yeah, for all priests, they're supposed to understand Latin well. There's guys out there that can't even say Dominus Vobiscum. Ite missa est. They can't even get out of Ite missa est.
How many priests know what Ave Maria means?
I can't. And remember you went and visited a certain family, and there were some Novus Ordo priests that were there. And the kids in that family were all hyped up about the Latin Mass, and they were talking to the priest. And it was like, you've got kids who are 7, 8 years old who know more about the Roman rite of Mass than these 50 and 60-year-old priests. And the priests were embarrassed. You said, like, the one priest, you could tell he was really uncomfortable.
Yeah, well, I don't know about that. I don't know the story because I wasn't there, but that's what they were saying. I don't know that the priests were necessarily uncomfortable, but they were just very surprised that these kids knew Latin. And it was like, well, I mean, that's what they used to teach.
That's what happens when you go to the Latin Mass. When you're a little kid, you learn everything. I mean, even a 4-year-old kid, I've seen 4-year-old kids, even younger, that can just start singing the Asperges.
Yeah, and actually, you would like this story. I never told you this, but there were these kids, I think it was like, they were like 7 and 6. And they sang a song the one time for someone, and the person gave them 25 cents, and they were so excited. And so they said, "Can we sing a song for you if you pay us?" And I was like, "Well, I don't know. Let me see what I said, "I'll pay you if you sing a song in Latin." And they were like, "We don't know Latin." But then they sang the Kyrie, number 11.
Oh, they sang Kyrie 11.
Yeah, and I was like, like my jaw dropped, and I was like, "Oh, I told them I'd pay them." I actually forgot to pay them. I felt really bad. I didn't see them after that for a while, and so I slipped my mind. But I was like, "Wow, these kids are singing. These kids are singing Latin chant. They're 7 and 6."
Yeah. Oh yeah. 5-year-olds. 5-year-olds can.
Yeah.
4-year-olds. I mean, I know a kid that he knows Mass 11 Kyrie, and he's now 5, so he can sing the Mass 11 Kyrie. I
mean, it's not the craziest thing in the world, but I mean, people are like shocked, you know.
Well, I don't know what to say. Here's a comment by Patty 802. James Martin thinks the SsPX is a Japanese motorbike.
See, we can just get a whole show of Patty quotes. Because
you should, John. You should make a meme of parent James Martin riding an SsPX Japanese crotch rocket motorbike.
Yeah, and Pat, I do want to point out Patty's comments here. Like, Patty I don't know if Patty just rattles these things off or if he researches them.
Well, he is Irish, so Irish people are good with quick wit.
Give Patty an appletini, and we'll have a back and forth with Parent Ryan. You know? And then the quotes start getting really crazy.
Yeah. I have one more canon law here. This is canon number 284. Okay, here's a good one. Quote, clerics are to wear suitable ecclesiastical garb according to the norms issued by the Conference of Bishops and according to legitimate local customs. So I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to say, John, that Hawaiian shirt is not suitable ecclesiastical garb, even amongst the Jesuits. Okay.
Oh, judgmental.
Well, I'm just saying. This is the merciful code of the super duper Pope Francis. How dare you question the magisterium of Pope Francis in Canon 284? So if he promulgated it, I believe it.
So what would be appropriate clerical garb? Would it be a collar?
Yeah, it would be a minimum of a collar. A minimum, because what else is there that's ecclesiastical garb? There's no other identification. Well, that too, yeah. I mean, your Conference of Bishops could legislate that, and that's what was in the old Code of Canon Law.
Yeah. Now the cassocks are reserved for rigid priests, but yeah. Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
Same thought.
There it is.
Yeah.
Suitable ecclesiastical garb sounds rigid. Well, that's in the Code of Canon Law of Pope Francis. If you question this, you're out. You're literally schismatic and outside the church. If you reject the code of the super duper holy Pope Francis, then you're outside the church.
Well, so what does that apply to? Does it apply to like just the priest appearing in public? Or
it says clerics are to wear suitable ecclesiastical garb. The context that you'd have to look up. I think that's absolute.
Yeah,
obviously in public.
Because I mean, you know, there seems like there are a lot of priests that treat their vocation like an 8 to 4, a 9 to 5 job.
So they wear they go to the grocery store and they're dressed like me or you.
Yeah, just like, and then, or even just like wearing jeans or something. And it's just like, I mean, I can understand like there would be a few situations like if they're doing housework and it's like really like if there's a bunch of sawdust or something, you wouldn't really want to get your
cutting the grass. I mean, I've seen a priest cutting grass and he was wearing a t-shirt and jeans.
Like I know, I understand there's exceptions, but like if you're going out to, like you said, like a restaurant or a grocery store,
that's
like, your outfit's a witness to your vocation and your Catholic faith.
It actually doesn't even matter what you think. Clerics are to wear suitable ecclesiastical garb. That's what it is.
Yeah.
That period. There's no more discussing it, and that's at least a clerical collar. So we don't need to debate this anymore. And as a matter of fact, even if you're cutting the grass, I'm pretty sure that you maybe need to have a work cassock or a work habit even when you're cutting grass. Have you watched the Benedictines? Go on YouTube here when you're done with this. When you're finished watching this highly rated broadcast of the John the Son of Thunder program, go on to YouTube here and watch the videos from the SsPX affiliated Benedictine monastery in New Mexico. And you'll see those guys are building a monastery, doing masonry, feeding goats, picking grapes, and they're wearing a monastic habit. It's a work habit, which is like a denim kind of habit. Why can't a priest have a denim a black denim cassock, and he's out there cutting the grass and that, or doing his weeding or whatever? I don't know. As a matter of fact, nobody had any problems with this stuff before 1960. It's like, first world Vatican II problems is not being able to find work clothes.
Yeah, and I actually saw a picture of the Franciscan friars based out of Phoenix.
Yeah.
Franciscan Friars of the Holy Spirit.
The Phoenixes.
Yeah, a few of them are playing basketball in their Franciscan. What is it? The habit, the Franciscan habit, and sandals. And I was like, oh, they could have used probably tennis shoes, but still, I mean, that's
the sandals are their habit.
Yeah,
sandals are their habit. Maybe barefoot they could play basketball too. RR 807. This was interesting. 807. Yeah, they gathered in that Amazonian synod and they discussed and they said, why are we wearing all these fancy cassocks? And then the next day they came in wearing a clerical suit. It looked like a complete joke. I mean, somebody the next day said, why are we wearing these clerical suits? And then the next day they could have showed up in pajamas, which is about how seriously you ought to take them. They could have gone in there and one would be wearing Superman pajamas, the other one Batman pajamas, another one My Little Pony pajamas, okay? And maybe there would be a Parent Ryan. Maybe there's a Parent Ryan set of pajamas.
That's great.
Tropical. That's good. Tropical white cassock fitting for a cruise. Absolutely. So
there you go. And actually, he has another comment here. Many of the habits. Well, and I actually had a video on that. The Roman cassock is a sacramental. So that's because we encountered a fraternity seminarian and he pointed that out and said, like, there's no special blessing for a clerical suit, but there is one for a cassock. And we were speculating that's why demons hate the cassock so much, is because of that blessing. Yeah, that's a good point.
Ty Anthony 809.
I'm not showing that. But judge for yourself. We got a lot of interesting comments. And, Ty, between Patty and Ty and everyone else. These are some
great suggestions.
We're just cracking up here. This is.
Well, I will say this. Probably one of the funniest shows you're going to want to watch on YouTube. If you don't watch the rundown on the RTF channel, John, have you watched the rundown on the RTF channel?
I have a few times.
It is absolutely fantastic. And the chat in that show is so hilarious. I mean, it's got such a great community. It's usually on Friday or Saturday nights, but it's actually worth watching live to see that chat. It's so funny.
Well, you can see the chat after live, but you can't comment. But,
correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll have to check it out because I know with RTF, I know they make a lot of predictions, and I try not to make a lot of predictions.
Well, I made one. There's a virus conclave. That's my unpopular opinion prediction.
Well, and did you see that the prediction I made Saturday was that there would be a new consistory of cardinals, and then like the next day they announced there would probably be one in October, and I was like, yes, I'm so glad. That's why I do the videos live, so I can get my ideas out
there first. Well, we also said, look, virus lockdown in the fall. We said that the muzzle is coming back. I still don't know my thoughts on. I told you, and I predicted it that there's going to be another shutdown in the fall into the winter.
I'm not convinced on that.
Well, I hope you're right.
We differ on that.
I hope you're right, and I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, but we don't make a ton of predictions here, but it seems like you can make any prediction right now and be right.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah.
Well, that's all I have.
Okay, so
I think I got to everything that I wanted to talk about. I
yeah,
usually try to come up with, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, I try to come up with about 3 to 4 topics, and sometimes these things go on. We have input from the audience. John has remarks or whatever, but it's funny. You start, you don't know how long some of this stuff can take. You know, here's the thing I noticed. If you're doing a show by yourself, it just seems like it can take forever, and I mean, it goes really fast, and you're not able to talk about a lot. But with other people providing input, I mean, I actually was joking, if I lost my job, I would probably do like a Rush Limbaugh type live stream every day for 2 or 3 hours, where I would go through and narrate this news.
Yeah.
I don't know how much income or whatever I would make, but it would give me something to do for 2 or 3 hours a day every afternoon.
Okay, but even if you got just a few viewers, I mean, that'd be a lot of fun. And I'll see how the Wi-Fi works here, because I see I'm losing a little bit of signal.
No, okay, you're okay.
But even if like, I guess it's really what I'm going for. So some of my live streams, I just kind of go for like, okay, here's some news and take a look and see who chats. But some of them I go for a little bit more informative approach, like EBTN.
Yeah.
But the chats are a lot of fun, especially when you have, the viewers that we had today and the comments about the cruise and everything. So
yeah.
And it's kind of like it gives us sort of a community where, this stuff is pretty serious that we're dealing with. I mean, if your Latin Mass, if your Latin Mass gets canceled, like, that's not a happy situation.
No.
But it's nice that we can find a little bit of, humor in the situation.
Well, I always said we're glad trads here. Look at Captain Catholic 811. He says he enjoys the Defeat Modernism channel. I just subscribed to that and started watching it. And then he says at 8:13, this is another good suggestion. 8:13, why not have a beer or bourbon sampling in the show occasionally? One cannot live on tab alone.
Well, I've seen shows like, I remember Tim Gordon and his brother, whenever they had their channel, they were drinking beer, and that was just kind of like, it didn't go very well because they just kept interrupting each other. Plus, I don't actually drink.
That's the Super Gordon brothers. Are you actually a Mormon if you don't drink?
I don't know, I guess. I mean, I'm kind of like a hybrid Mormon Catholic. I don't drink. I don't drink because I'm cheap and I don't like the taste of alcohol.
Oh.
I'm sorry, guys. All right, now there we go. Everyone's going to be withdrawing their donations.
Good thing they can't get their super chats back.
There you go. Well, I don't expect those for a while. But yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to wrap this up then. Thank you so much, Ryan. And hey, thanks for the donations. Thank you for your comments. We just really enjoy the interaction on this channel. It's great. International or United States, who cares? It's great to have you.
We have
on this
more.
Channel.
I think we have more viewers in Ireland than maybe anywhere else. They love us in Ireland.
Well, I guess. I mean, the ones that the Catholics that are still there.
Yeah.
All right. So thank you so much for watching. We are the laity,
and we will not be silent.